Hey guys, here's the gear. I just so happened to have picked this Lowborn supply brush, which matches the Stirling green perfectly. Great way to go. As you can see, we're also using the Pella blades for the injector, and we're continuing to use, thankfully, graciously, the razor provided by Michael Friedberg. This is the supply injector. They call it the supply single edge, and it was the one that they released for an evaluation before they actually released the 1.0. So it probably is the same exact thing as the 1.0. This brush is a Lowborn supply handle. I like the looks of it, and it's very ergonomic. I'm a fan there of their design, and the quality looks really good. This has a B4 knot in it. I'm almost positive. You can check out the description of the video if you need to be sure about that. So like I said, the Pella blade, which is the same blade as the Personna injector blade. The modern Personna and the Pella are the same, and we're contrasting that blade with the Chinese Schicks that, I don't know, a few weeks ago, whenever I have used the this razor before, the last couple days, it's been with the Chinese Schick, and I really like the performance of those Schicks. And so far the Pella at use 5 was a bad match, but that was a blade that's been sitting around for a long time. Who knows what may have gone wrong with it. It was my first injector blade, and as you can see, with only 5 uses on it, I hadn't used it very much. Had I maybe practiced injecting and pushed it along one of the stays that dulled the blade, who knows. And so this is now the second time I've used a brand new Pella blade. Last time it went pretty well. Very happy. Not quite as good as the Chinese Schicks, but still an enjoyable blade that I would never mind using in this type of razor. And I already know that the Pella blades work very well for this type. I believe it's an E-type of the vintage Schick injectors. And so it's definitely a good, for me at least, a good razor and blade combo there. Continuing on with Stirling, we're now in February for me, and I just have had fun playing around with my Stirling soaps. January was their 10th anniversary month of being in business, and I'm just celebrating them. And Kaboom, I love this one. Victor and Rolf Spice Bomb is the cologne that they based this one off of. I really enjoy it. It's not super strong, but it's definitely present, and it'll be there during the shave. All right. So he's already loaded up. Since I knew I was going to use the same blade, I'm interested to see if I just take this Pella blade and use it 4 or 5 times, is it going to become a blade that I don't like anymore? Is it going to mirror the one I used a couple times ago where it was not enjoyable at all? The problems were twofold, and the two main things about shaving. You want a close cut and you want it to be comfortable, and it was neither of those. So as you can see, we've got a little bit of separation right there. Unfortunately, it's been a while since I've come back to this soap, even though I love it quite a bit, the performance and the scent. Now, one thing I did think about doing was, now that I'm gonna try the same blade again. These are the different base plates that come along with this razor, and Michael Friedberg was so kind to send along the plates as well. And let us try a different one this time. I'm going to pause you so I don't fiddle and that kind of stuff. Quickly show you how to change the heads. And of course we do have a blade in there, so we should be careful as we do it so things don't drop in dangerous ways. The little bolt here has a spring on it to keep that tension so it doesn't loosen while you shave. So just be aware of that. Now it's just 3 pieces. We have a blade, the long piece, and then the base plate. So we can kind of lift the long piece up away from the base plate, and that's pretty secure. And then just easily take this Pella blade, put him down. The indicator, once you have the base plate off, these round circles here, this indicates that this is what they call the comfortable plate, the medium plate. And then I'm going to reach down and why don't we try the mild one? The other one had 2 circles, and this one has just 1 circle. Let's just try the mild one and see what happens. So, the nice thing about this razor is that you don't have to have the injector key. If you have injector blades but you don't have a key, then you can still use this razor with no problem. And I'm going to kind of I'm pushing it back up into place with this finger, but now I'm going to use my 2 grabby fingers to the side to hold them while I now have room to access the bolt and that whole area. A little side note, I did investigate on the supply website. I told you guys last time that they have decided to deprecate this solid bar design that they've had with the 1.0 and the 2.0, and they're taking pre-orders now for, I think they're changing its name to the Supply SE, which is really funny because in my software this is called the single edge, and so I've abbreviated it to SE, but now they're bringing in a new thing that they're calling SE instead of the single edge 1.0 or 2.0. It's just called the SE, and it's more like an open comb design. And the new news that I'm bringing to you is that yes, their website does say that if you have the older version with the solid bar, the new base plate design that they're coming up with that's like an open comb will fit in your old razor. So that's good news. Things should be backwards compatible and all that. So that is good news. Now, another thing I'm going to check, anytime you reassemble the head, you want to look at the 2 stops here. The blade edge does come down all the way to the stops. We want that. Get my face wet now. Now, with the B4 brush, it's a soft one. It's got easy backbone. All the things that I enjoy about it mean that sometimes you might need to add 5 to 10 seconds on your loading because it's not a diggy, scritchy kind of brush. Okay, I'm going to shake most of the water out of it. It's not a super huge brush, but it does have plenty of splay for me to enjoy it. Shall we do 30 seconds? Yeah, 25 rolled around right there, so we'll go to 55. I can feel how nice the knot here is at giving, having some give to it. It's not being stiff. And that is what I like in a knot. 10 more seconds. And 1 more second there. All right. So we can see that with that kind of bubbling action there, this knot may held on to a good bit of water, actually. Nothing wrong with that, as long as you plan for it, or as long as you notice it and adjust your plans. I'm going to take some of the stuff that was on the side. Oh yeah, what a great scent. I mean, especially in the colder temperatures or cooler temperatures, this kind of warm type scent is very welcome. Last time it was a little harder to rinse off the tub threading after the fact. So you know what I'm going to do now? I'm just going to go do it right now. Pause, yeah. And taking care of the soap that's in the threading may seem OCD, and I am far from OCD. But what it does is if the soap film doesn't dry, then you always have a nice, easy time with the lid, and it doesn't bind, and it always works perfectly. I've gotten plenty of used soaps that were a chore to open and close because of the buildup around in the threading. So I choose to be more lazy, and like, you know how you explain to your kids, if you maintain it, it's easier than if you wait until it gets bad. And so I'm choosing the lazy way and doing it as I go. All right, so let's start to work up the lather. This, I believe, was the first B4 knot that I ever was able to procure. And up until then, the B5 was my favorite knot. And this one is a little bit more relaxed than my B5s. And it has really soft tips, very similar to the B5. but it just has less backbone. And man, I appreciated that. That was exactly what I wanted. And so the B13 and the B4 are my two favorite batches. They are so similar. They are so enjoyable that I would probably have to have a little head-to-head competition to try to figure out a favorite. Well, it looks like from this early bit of work we've done, we're going to have plenty of soap to do the job today because we haven't even added any extra water. This is a large bowl, and so I have plenty of room to work. 5 1/4 interior diameter at the top leaves me plenty of room. And now I do have this 35 millimeter honking brush here that does kind of take up a lot of space in the bowl, and so this brush makes it seem like almost a small bowl. But I'm glad I have a bowl this big. If I am using this bowl with a really small brush, like a tiny bore, 22 millimeter bore or something, it's easy to make it seem like a smaller bowl by tilting it, and then you have less of a surface to get lost in. But if I do have one of those smaller brushes, that's when I like to whip out my Pereira bowl, because that one's just a little smaller than this, and for my smaller brushes, it's wonderful. A lot of people might stop right here, but I like it a little bit wetter, more hydrated than this. Not a lot. We're not going to try not to get carried away with the water. This is their beef tallow. I found my tub of Varan, which I do plan on using soon, and that is the other of the mutton tallow, in addition to Glastonbury and Port-au-Prince, that don't have the sheep name, the sheep in the name of the soap. And so it was actually several years before I realized that those were the mutton tallow base. Good looking lather here. Terrific. Just going to give it a little bit more work and then we'll use it. And you see the easy splay, how big the knot is. It's accepting the lather, holding on to it, not being very firm at all. And I like that. Get my face wet one more time. All right, the brush. There we go. It's definitely not a floppy brush. I can still feel a little bit of the density causing the backbone there, but it's a good place for me. It's still, because of the softness of the tips, it's easy enough to splay. I'm not having to work very hard to keep it in the splay. Really like it. We do not have the lather getting washed out and getting kind of thin right away, like sometimes happens when I overhydrate my lather a little bit. That's good. With a good quality soap like this, even an overhydrated lather will still often work very well, but it just means I don't have to go back to the tub and get any more soap. But we're also not seeing a lot of extra lather being generated. A little bit around here, but that's kind of a normal amount. And we don't have a ton around the brush. I don't even think I have any that's dripped onto my shirt. I mean, that could happen in a few seconds. But I think I nailed it pretty much just right. This is a great level of creaminess and a sense of luxury and softness, but you still have a nice level of hydration to help with the slickness to be pretty much as good as it's going to get. Matter of fact, yeah, I could add just a little bit more water if I wanted to, but I don't think I will. See, as I've worked it up a little bit more, I've had more gather up around my goatee here. And if you practice this, if you are in a position where you have like a goatee or a place to wipe extra soap, wipe it and then look at it. Look at the contour, and that can tell you about your consistency. If yours matches mine, then that tells you something. If yours has more ridges and pokey points and firm edges and things like that, then maybe you could stand to add a little bit more water if you wanted to. If it was sliding down your hand, of course, that tells you that you probably don't need to add any more water. All right. I think we are ready to go to try out the mild plate. Now, since on the 5th use, that first Pella blade that I tried in this razor, since it didn't do very well, it didn't cut closely and it tugged. With the medium plate, I dare not take that same blade and try it with the mild plate, because surely it would not. It's a really good guess that it's not going to work very well. I might be able to take that same blade and put the more aggressive plate. If there's enough of a change, that might put it at a place where it's going to work. Who knows? But we're going to try the mild, since this blade has only been used one more time prior to this. So it's a fresh blade, pretty fresh blade. And so we'll see if the mild is a good fit for the Pella Personna blades. Oh man, yeah, you can tell it's comfortable. I don't get any blade feel. It's moving across the skin easily. I don't think, that it seems like I'd be pretty hard pressed to generate any irritation. I believe they called this one, they didn't call it the mild plate. They called it like ultra smooth or, something like that. It'll be in the description of the video if you're curious about that. Now, the proof in the pudding, I've had plenty of razors be comfortable during the first pass. The worst of which were comfortable because they weren't cutting anything. They were just moving over the hair. And they were even not hitting the hair in a right way to even be able to cut it. Or too dull. Either one of those is the case. All right. Very good. Man, that sure was comfortable. Sensitive. I think that's the word. Ultra close, I think, is what they called the more aggressive, the one with 3 dots. And then comfortable is what they called the medium, or 2 dots. And then sensitive is the one they have with just 1 dot. All right. I think that's right. Water splash now. A couple of really cool things happen when I go down there to the basin and kind of do that water splash, half rinse, whatever we want to call it. One thing is I get to really feel how the slickness of the lather feels as I get it wet, and that tells me some things about my lather. I also, because I'm down kind of close to what I'm doing, there's less maybe air freedom or whatever, and so I get a higher dose of the scent, and I can kind of just sit there and enjoy it for a second while I'm, splashing water on my face. And I really, really do like this scent. And a third thing is I'm able to check as I'm doing the rinse. I'm able to check the stubble. How's the stubble doing? Is it still there? Was it barely affected? Has it been a very efficient pass and there's barely any there, or somewhere in between? And here, I think the cutting here on the second use of this blade, and now with the mild head, sensitive head, it cut not super efficiently, but it cut well. And I have full faith that with this pass now, I'm going to have a very nicely cut beard, clean cut face. And then the pickups, we're going to be able to get any little stragglers without any problem on the third pass. If you're shopping for one of these, they do make an alloy version. And so that one has does have the potential, as I'm contemplating what angles to use, what strokes to use here. I'm going to go comfort-wise and kind of stick with the grain now. A slight tilt for this second pass. Comfortable, very comfortable. I don't feel anything like irritation. And I think that's what this plate was designed to be. Just now during the kind of half rinse, I felt a very clean cut face, just like I was thinking. And so it looks like this mild plate is going to be a great daily driver. And actually, when I used the medium plate a few times, Michael Friedberg made a comment. He said, man, you need to try that mild plate. I think it'll be a great daily driver. And I responded with, the medium. I could daily drive the medium and be super comfortable. It really is. But I told him I would definitely be trying the mild as well, because sure, I mean, if you want comfort, or if you truly have sensitive skin, then this seems like a great way to go, because it's not so mild that I'm not getting a good cut. Normal 24-hour growth is what we're cutting through, so it's a kind of good situation that's kind of typical for a lot of guys. This lather here is giving me wonderful slickness. The razor is moving very well. Finding the angle is intuitive, and I'm not actually feeling in some strokes like I'm doing a lot of cutting, because it is just basically picking up the stragglers. And you're not going to get a lot of blade feel or audio from this type of situation, because the blades are quite thick compared to the DE blades, so they don't have that same chatter. They don't vibrate as much. I do feel like if I went over a hilly area the wrong direction, I feel like the sharpness is there to give me irritation. But I think it is controlling itself very nicely, and you would have to kind of make a mistake as a shaver for this guy to give you irritation. I mean, unless you just had super sensitive skin, is my thought. Well, really comfortable. I don't have any irritation right now at all. The lather was just pretty much spot on perfect there. As I kept adding more water to my face, it was a tiny bit thick in the beginning, still within my standards, I think, but they got even better throughout the rest of the shave as I would rinse and come at it with a little bit more water. So wonderful. And the scent, 5 out of 10, not super strong. I'm glad. This kind of scent is a little intense, and so I think that kind of scent strength is merited and probably would be enjoyed by most people, to not kind of take over, that kind of thing. If you want that, you could go for the Splash or the EDT, if they still have those around. I know that the Kaboom was a seasonal release, and that's why it's in the 3-ounce container. Here is the 6-ounce that Stirling usually sells in their standard line. And this is another example of the type of character that exists between many of the shaving vendors that we have in our hobby. At the same time that Stirling was going to release Kaboom out into the market in the seasonal, Noble Otter had prepared a Kaboom, because they were going to, this scent, Victor and Rolf Spice Bomb, it's a popular scent. It's really interesting. It's manly as well. And so they had the same great idea to bring it out. So they called theirs Kaboom as well, because, that's what you do. You pick a name that's kind of similar to Spice Bomb, but cool and different, that kind of thing. And they both had picked the same name, and Noble Otter realized that Stirling had I think Stirling had theirs out to the market first. and Noble Otter contacted. They stopped the selling it. I don't even think they actually put it out on the market. But then Stirling heard about that, and they're like, "Listen, I think their attitude seems to have been, this is an assumption on my part, there's plenty of room for everybody, and so come on, just bring yours to the market too." And then after those early ones were made, and maybe even for that first release, what they did was they Noble Otter crossed out Kaboom and wrote something else, and so it was really it was neat, but it was wonderful spirit of cooperation. And then Noble Otter, to their wonderful credit, they say, hey, this was kind of our bad, I think is what they indicated. And so what we're going to do is there's a portion of the proceeds for this soap. Every soap sold, a certain amount of money is going to go through a certain charity. And I mean, come on, that's just awesome. So great testimony to many of the people in our shaving community is that kind of awesome character is there, working together for the benefit of the shavers. This also. Very good. What level of water did I use? Not a whole lot, 13 milliliters. Not a lot. And well, this is a smaller knot, and so that 30 seconds was pretty much perfect for the level of the quantity of lather that I have. I have 2 passes left over, and look how hydrated it is. Watch that guy right there. Bloop. Those long marshmallow cream, melted marshmallow kind of peaks there. That is, for Stirling's base, that is where I like it. Very enjoyable. Luxurious while also being really slick. Luxurious and creamy feeling, but super slick. That's that perfect zone where I am hoping to hit my lather every time. All right, so the mild plate with, they call it sensitive, for the supply single edge was very enjoyable. And I could easily see using this every day. Let me get my kind of rinse out, get a good rinse, and then I will look at the closeness and see if it's, I had to sacrifice a little, maybe did I sacrifice a little closeness for this kind of comfort. All right, there we go. Feeling is very nice still. Just no razor burn, nothing like that. Feels good in terms of nourishment, hydration. In checking with the closeness of the razor, I do see, a few tips in this trouble spot area. But as you saw, I didn't do an against the grain pass, which is what would have been something from the bottom up this way toward my chin. And because of that, that's too rough for me usually. It's not kind to my face. I get irritation and cuts. I just avoid that with most every razor. And so if you're the kind of person that could do that, then I think this mild plate is going to do you really well. And if you're left with that kind of length, and just a few tips, not very many, but that against the grain pass is going to clean them up really well for you. And so this really sensitive, mild plate is going to be very effective, I think, for a lot of guys. Unless you lay your lather on super pasty and thick, and that could affect how close your blade is able to get to your skin. Here is the B4 and the Lowborn logo there. Good quality work. And I did pick up the density like I mentioned. And I think with this shave, I believe this makes me feel and gives me the impression that one of my B13 brushes I enjoy more than the B4. And so perhaps the B13 now takes the top spot in terms of my favorite declaration batch, followed closely by the very enjoyable B4, and then B5 below that. And then the B9A, I'd have to play around to see how close it was to the B5, because the B5 has softer tips, but it's got a little bit more backbone than the B9A, maybe. But I'd have to play around with those in closer proximity to know. So as with all dense knots, man, make sure you get in there, rinse the center really well. especially in the winter months. Maybe bring in a little bit of warm water to make it hot water from the hot tap there, just so that it's lukewarm at least. Helps you clean the soap out a little easier. We have that wonderful spicy, it's a light scent right now because the soap is not supposed to be a cologne, and so it's very light right now. So something, you know what, I think this Agar balm from Stirling with its oud, I think is right in the right vein to, as I splash just a little bit of water on, to really accent the notes here in the Kaboom. So, in the second use, the mild plate was just fine, giving you a nice close shave of a whole lot of comfort. If you do like blade feel, because this did not give me very much blade feel, if that's a part of what you enjoy about shaving, then the mild plate's not going to be something that you really are probably going to flock to. And there we go. Oh yeah, there's got to be some oud in that spice bomb. I will just bet, because that just goes perfectly well with the Stirling Kaboom. All right. Oh, terrific. Face feels great. And told you how much water, about 13 milliliters. Showed you the brush. Told you how great the blade worked in this razor. So the Pella did a great job. Whether it's going to die in a few uses or whether there was just something wrong with maybe that first one, who knows? But right now it looks like it's going to keep going for more uses. Maybe next time I'll try the 3-dot, the more aggressive one, the one they call the, I think, ultra close or something like that. Try that one on that base plate on the supply single edge is what they call it. And there we go. Hey, I hope that this brings something helpful to your shaving journey. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.